Imagine standing before a courtroom where your entire life is put to the test. Every action scrutinized, every thought scrutinized. There are no lawyers for your defense, no jury of your peers, just three ruthless judges, ready to decide your eternal fate. Welcome to the final court of Hades, where the judges of the dead wait to determine the future of your soul. In Greek mythology, the concept of judgment after death was fundamental to understanding human existence and the cosmic order. The ancient Greeks believed that after death, each individual's soul was taken to the underworld, the kingdom of Hades, to face a judgment that would determine their destiny in eternity. This process was not a simple formality, but a thorough and impartial examination of an entire life, carried out by three legendary judges, Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Aeacus. Before we delve into the particulars of this divine court, it is crucial to understand the context in which this belief developed. Ancient Greek society was deeply influenced by its mythological narratives, which were not mere entertainment tales, but rather complex systems of understanding the world, full of moral lessons and explanations for natural and social phenomena. The concept of a post-mortem judgment served not only as a mechanism of social control, encouraging ethical behavior in life, but also as a way of giving meaning to human existence and the inevitability of death. The court of the dead was located at a crossroads in the underworld, a point of convergence where all souls must pass. Imagine a vast cavernous hall lit by an ethereal glow, where the heavy air seems to carry the weight of countless past lives. Against this solemn backdrop, the three imposing figures of the judges stand, each with their own history and reputation for unwavering justice. Minos, the best known of the three, was the ancient king of Crete, famous for his wisdom and the labyrinth he built to contain the Minotaur. After his death, Zeus appointed him as one of the judges of the underworld, recognizing his capacity for discernment and justice. Rhadamanthus, brother of Minos, was known for his unyielding integrity and his ability to uncover lies. Aeacus, in turn, was the son of Zeus himself, and known for his piety and balanced sense of justice. The trial process was both simple and deeply complex. Each soul that arrived before the judges was stripped of all the physical and social characteristics that defined it in life. It did not matter whether the individual had been a powerful king or a humble peasant. Before the judges of the dead, everyone was equal. This post-mortem equalization was a revolutionary concept for the time, suggesting that a person's true value lay not in their social position or wealth, but in their actions and character. Few judges gifted with supernatural perception could see the individual's entire life as if it were a parchment spread before them. Every action, every thought, every moment of kindness or cruelty was scrutinized with impartial scrutiny. There was no hiding the truth or presenting false virtues. The soul was completely exposed, vulnerable to divine scrutiny. It is interesting to note how this concept of a final judgment based on actions in life influenced not only Greek culture, but also left its mark on several later religions and philosophies. The idea that our actions have consequences that extend beyond our earthly life is a recurring theme in many spiritual traditions around the world. After meticulous analysis of the individual's life, the judges deliberated and delivered their verdict. Souls deemed worthy were sent to the Champs-Élysées, a paradise of eternal happiness and peace. Those considered neither completely good nor completely evil were destined for the fields of Asphodel, a kind of purgatory where they led an existence without great pleasure or suffering. Souls condemned for their crimes and evils were sent to Tartarus, a place of eternal punishment and torment. The concept of the Elysian Fields as a reward for a virtuous life is particularly fascinating. Described by Greek poets as a place of incomparable beauty, the Champs-Élysées were imagined as verdant prairies bathed in eternal golden light, where blessed souls could enjoy an idyllic existence free from worry and suffering. This view of paradise as a place of peace and contentment, rather than luxury and extravagance, reflects the values of ancient Greek society, which valued harmony and serenity above material opulence. On the other hand, Tartarus represented the absolute opposite, described as a deep abyss, surrounded by walls of bronze and enveloped in eternal darkness. It was the destiny of souls considered irredeemable. There, elaborate and often ironic punishments awaited the condemned. A famous example is that of Sisyphus, condemned to eternally roll a boulder to the top of a hill, only to have it roll back down every time he reached the summit. This seemingly simple punishment carries a profound message about futility and meaningless repetition, perhaps reflecting the nature of Sisyphus's transgressions in life. The fields of Asphodel, in turn, represented an intriguing concept of a neutral existence after death. Neither reward nor punishment, this intermediate realm was the destiny of most souls, those who lived ordinary lives, without great virtues or notable vices. The idea of a middle ground in the afterlife is a sophisticated concept, recognizing that most people are neither saints nor incorrigible sinners, but rather a complex mix of positive and negative qualities. A particularly interesting aspect of the judgment of the dead in Greek mythology is the absence of a concept of divine redemption or forgiveness. Unlike many later religions, which offer the possibility of repentance and salvation even after death, the judgment in Hades was final and irrevocable. This perspective reflects a worldview that emphasizes personal responsibility and the direct consequences of our actions, without the possibility of last-minute divine intervention. The figure of Hermes, the messenger of the gods, also plays a crucial role in this process. He was the one who guided the souls of the recently deceased to the underworld, a journey known as the descent into Hades. Hermes, with his cunning nature and his role as mediator between the worlds, served as a compassionate guide to frightened and disoriented souls, helping them navigate the unfamiliar terrain of the underworld until they reached the court. The river Styx, which souls had to cross to reach the underworld, was another important element in this mythology. Charon, the dark boatman, demanded payment to transport souls across the black waters. This belief led to the practice of placing coins over the eyes or mouths of the dead, ensuring they had the means to pay their way. Those who could not pay were condemned to wander the riverbanks for 100 years, a punishment that reflects the importance the Greeks placed on proper funeral rites, the complexity and richness of details in the Greek conception of the afterlife, and the judgment of the dead reveal a lot about the values and concerns of the society that created them. The emphasis on impartial justice, personal responsibility, and the eternal consequences of our earthly actions suggests a culture deeply concerned with questions of ethics and morality. Furthermore, the Court of the Dead serves as an interesting mirror to the earthly judicial system of ancient Greece. Just as mortal judges were supposed to be impartial and fair, the divine judges of the underworld were seen as incorruptible and infallible. This idealization of the judicial process in the afterlife can be interpreted as an aspiration to what the earthly system should be, free from political or personal influences. It is fascinating to observe how the concept of a post-mortem judgment has evolved and manifested itself in different cultures throughout history. In ancient Egypt, for example, there was a belief in the weighing of the heart, where the heart of the deceased was weighed against the feather of truth by the goddess Mut. In the Christian tradition, we find the idea of the Last Judgment, where all souls will be judged by God at the end of time. These variations on the theme of divine judgment demonstrate a universal concern for cosmic justice and moral accountability. The influence of Greek mythology, and specifically the concept of the Court of the Dead, can be traced through Western literature and art over the centuries, from Dante's Divine Comedy, with its elaborate vision of hell, purgatory, and paradise, to more modern depictions in films and books. The idea of a final judgment continues to capture the human imagination. From a psychological perspective, belief in a post-death judgment can be seen as a way of dealing with existential anxiety and fear of death. By proposing that our actions in life have consequences that extend beyond earthly existence, this belief offers a sense of continuity and purpose that transcends the finiteness of physical life. Furthermore, it serves as a powerful incentive for ethical behavior, suggesting that even if one escapes earthly justice, there will be a final and inescapable accountability. It is important to note that although the concept of the Court of the Dead was a significant part of Greek mythology, there was no unified doctrine or set of sacred scriptures that codified these beliefs. The stories and details varied between different regions and periods of ancient Greece, demonstrating the fluid and adaptable nature of Greek mythology. As we reflect on the Court of the Dead and its judges, we are invited to consider our own mortality and the legacy we will leave behind. If we were judged for every action in our lives, what verdict would we receive? This reflection leads us to fundamental questions about ethics, morality, and the purpose of human existence. In an increasingly secular world, where traditional beliefs in a post-death divine judgment are in decline for many, we can still draw valuable lessons from this ancient myth. The idea that our actions have consequences, that integrity and compassion are virtues to be cultivated, and that we should live our lives with a sense of moral responsibility are principles that transcend specific religious beliefs. The Court of the Dead reminds us that in the end, it is not our material possessions, social status, or superficial achievements that define our worth, but rather the sum total of our actions and the impact we have had on the lives of others. This perspective encourages us to live with purpose and integrity, not out of fear of divine punishment, but out of an intrinsic desire to leave a positive legacy. Furthermore, the concept of impartial and incorruptible judges in the afterlife can be seen as an aspirational ideal for our earthly justice systems. Although perfection is unattainable in human institutions, the pursuit of a fair, impartial, and equitable judicial system remains a noble goal in societies around the world. As we near the end of this exploration of the court of the dead in Greek mythology, it is important to recognize the enduring power of these ancient myths. Even in an era of unprecedented scientific and technological advances, fundamental questions about the nature of existence, morality, and the destiny of the human soul continue to intrigue and challenge us. The Court of Hades, with its ruthless judges and final judgment, serves as a powerful reminder of our own mortality and the importance of living a life of purpose and integrity. He invites us to consider not only the immediate consequences of our actions, but also their long-term impact on ourselves and others. Ultimately, perhaps the true value of this myth lies not in its literal veracity, but in its ability to inspire us to reflect on our own lives and choices. He challenges us to live in a way that, if we were called before a cosmic tribunal, we could face the judgment with a clear conscience. Thus, while the judges of the dead remain figures of mythology, the concept they represent of moral responsibility, universal justice, and the importance of living an ethical life remains as relevant today as it was for the ancient Greeks. In a world often characterized by conflict, injustice, and ethical challenges, the idea of a final judgment based on the sum total of our actions serves as a powerful reminder of our shared responsibility to create a more just and compassionate world. As we conclude this journey through the Greek underworld and its divine court, we are left with a provocative question. If you stood before the judges of the dead today, what verdict would they give on your life? This reflection is not an exercise in destructive self-criticism, but an invitation to consider how we can live our lives in more meaningful and impactful ways. The myth of the Court of the Dead, with all its symbolic richness and philosophical depth, continues to echo through the centuries, reminding us that in the grand scheme of things, it is not what we accumulate or achieve that matters, but how we live, how we treat others, and the legacy we leave behind. It is a call to live not just for the present moment, but with a broader vision of our place in the tapestry of human existence. May the lessons of this ancient myth inspire us to live lives of purpose, compassion, and integrity, not out of fear of divine judgment, but out of an intrinsic desire to contribute positively to the world around us. After all, perhaps the true court is not in a mythical realm after death, but in the consciousness we carry with us every day of our lives.